Call of Duty Zombies. A concept that now, having seen what amazing and truly one-of-a-kind experiences it's brought to the table, we're all on board with and always excited to see what's done next with it. But I definitely couldn't blame anyone deprived of that context for thinking this sounds like some of the most generic, brainless trash to ever exist. I mean, it's a combination of the generic shooty bang bang game and what is probably by now the most overdone monster concept ever to exist. Zombies. But don't let that fool you. Personally, the Zombies is the only reason I buy any CoD games. For what I can only imagine by now would be the very few of you who have never heard of it, allow me to introduce you to the world of Call of Duty Zombies, while the other 97% of you watching this, who already know what's going on, can enjoy me preaching to the choir here. Zombies is a quote-unquote side mode that first appeared in the 5th game in the series, World at War, as a sort of bonus that was more included as an experiment that the developers were trying out than a real game mode. But it very quickly grew a fan base that came to love it more than the rest of the main game. In this mode, instead of being attacked by enemy soldiers, you're of course attacked by hordes of zombies. This might sound like an insignificant difference at first, but it really isn't. Having hordes of enemies to take down that can only attack you in close quarters leads to wildly different gameplay from a handful of soldiers firing at you from a safe distance. Having ranged enemies with essentially undodgeable bullets with how fast they fly through the air makes gameplay more about patience. Find good cover, don't just charge them, only fire at them when you have good enough shots that inevitably, when you trade damage with them because neither of you can dodge each other's shots, you come out the victor and regenerate your health by staying behind your cover. This gameplay certainly has its fans, but I'm not one of them. I never really could get into the kind of main game of Call of Duty games. As you can tell, I was only really a fan of zombies. This discourages you from moving much, leading to slower paced gameplay, and you can often find yourself in situations where there's nothing you can possibly do to survive if you find yourself in the line of fire with no nearby cover to run to. Putting the player in a situation where they haven't lost or died yet, but even if they play perfectly from that point onwards, they are still going to lose, is bad game design. And Call of Duty only really gets away with it because for the most part, you at least only can find yourself in those situations if you made a mistake earlier in the first place. Still, I do feel like this is why Call of Duty games are so infamously frustrating to play, and ended up being the birthplace of rage compilations.
You shut the fuck up!
It's just not very fun whenever you make a small mistake at one point and you don't even get to just retry straight away, or respawn or whatever. You just have to squirm as you hope there's some way you can get out of that situation, even though you know there's probably no way you can get out of this even if you play perfectly from here. I think this is why I preferred zombies. Zombies can only swipe at you when you're right in front of them, and you have a gun, but they don't. Now that distance from your target has become an advantage, and not a stalemate for both of you or a detriment to you depending on the situation, which leads to a much more fast style of gameplay being encouraged. Now, instead of slowly inching forward to close the distance until you have a good shot, you're constantly on the run to keep the distance that you have. It's a big deal. It's just a run and gun game. Just hold W and left click, right? Even the fastest of zombies can't quite catch up to you as long as you keep sprinting. Unless it's Black Ops 4, but anyway, and you can blast any zombie out the way that tries to block your path, right? Well, not quite. First of all, zombies maps are in enclosed spaces for the most part, especially for the first few maps, which were a lot smaller, of course. You can't just keep running. It won't be long before you hit a dead end and will have to face the horde you left chasing behind you without an escape route. To start out, you can still get away with this by simply turning around and blasting them all away, but zombies goes on infinitely. Every time you kill them all, you just go to the next round and they come back with more and more health. Every round that passes, you will need to keep your distance for longer and longer to survive, and it won't be long before meeting an unexpected zombie in a narrow doorway will go from a little scare you resolve with a twitch of your trigger to a death sentence. How could one zombie become such a problem? 2 hits and you're dead. That's why. Thankfully, you still have the relatively fast health regeneration you get in any other mode in CoD for not getting hit for a couple seconds, but 2 hits in a row is death, and one zombie can occasionally even hit you twice simultaneously. Secondly, is actually a little quirk of almost every FPS game out there that I rarely see talked about that I actually feel is way more significant than it's given credit for. Random spread, or bloom I guess if you're a Fortnite player. You see, this crosshair on the screen may seem like a little UI element just to help you line up your shot a little better, but you may also notice that it seems to fluctuate in size. I always used to think this was supposed to make it the tiniest bit harder to line up a shot while you were running or not aiming in, but that always seems stupid to me, because even without the crosshair, surely it wouldn't be that hard to tell where the center of the screen is and fire. That's when I discovered this crosshair isn't just making it marginally harder to line up a shot when it expands, but it's also showing how far the bullets can spread. If you aim down your sights while firing, the gun will shoot exactly where you point it as you'd expect. But just hip firing without aiming causes bullets to randomly spread themselves up to a certain distance away from where you aimed them, indicated by the size of your crosshair. This is why snipers are absolutely unusable without scoping in. They have enormous spread, so even if you line up your shot perfectly so that the target is right in the center of your screen, there's a really high chance that your bullet will fly just right past your target. I'm genuinely curious if this is common knowledge, honestly, or if I'm actually blowing anyone's minds right now, because this is a common mechanic, so I feel like people do have to know about this, but I never see anyone discussing it. Anyway, the existence of random spread means trying to run and gun will lead to ammo being wasted on missed shots, and panic firing will only work on early rounds. So enough about the basics. Let me take you back to relive your first zombies experience for the OGs out there who started with World at War's first zombies map, Nacht Der Untoten. You've just beaten the campaign, but you go to the mission select and see that there's another mission there and it doesn't look anything like the others. Nacht Der Untoten. You select it and this happens. Yeah, so that's supposed to say Nazi zombies, but well, I think you can guess why they decided to later edit that out and just call it Call of Duty Zombies, but no, nothing will excuse this editing job. Oh yeah, this would also probably be a good time to mention that this is gameplay of the Black Ops 3 remake of the map, not the original, which is unfortunate, but essentially I don't own Call of Duty World at War on PC, and I'm not spending money on that, considering, you know, that's a lot of money to spend just to get some gameplay for a video when I could play on the same map on Black Ops 3. Now first of all, that means a few things are going to be off. Essentially, all the weapons are going to be Black Ops 3 weapons instead of World at War weapons, unfortunately, and as well as that, the Black Ops 3 remake added a perk machine and a Wonder Fizz to the map, which I'm basically just going to ignore and not use, but if you don't know what those things are yet, don't worry, you'll find out. Other than that, the map is basically the same though, except it just looks better because it's obviously on a more recent game. But moving past that, the map loads up. This place is empty. Not only is it clearly neglected and broken, but there's no one else here. Looking out the windows, you can see enough landmarks and sandbags to feel the implication that someone might be out there. There's a crashed plane, a car, a few explosive barrels, and all of this is inaccessible and outside the map, so why would it be here unless something else was supposed to be in them? What happened here? Then you see them, limping slowly through the fog in the distance. They may not look very threatening at first, but you don't know what to do yet, and every second you spend being indecisive, they're getting closer, and they will eventually reach you. You're not sure if you should try to shoot them yet from such a distance with your Colt M1911 pistol, the only weapon you'll have to start, but you give it a try anyway. A couple shots land, but the damage is pathetic, and you probably didn't even leave a visible mark on a single zombie. You start to worry. These zombies won't go down as easily as a soldier in the campaign. Frantically, you start to look around, probably feeling a little like you're being a bit irrational for worrying so much, but still worrying despite that. Then you start to see 2, 3, 4, 5, a lot more openings where they can come in than you thought at first. You don't know which barriers to focus on guarding, and you're left with almost nowhere left to stand without a zombie being capable of sneaking up on you from behind. You need a gun, and not a pathetic one like what you have now. Eventually, you approach the chalk drawing of a gun, and you can buy it with the points you earn for shooting and killing zombies. It's not very good, but it doesn't take a full magazine to kill a single round 1 zombie like the Colt, so it's good enough. You try to run, but you're closed in this room. You only find a door where someone's final message clearly didn't quite get finished, where you can spend points to open it, and this debris-covered staircase, which can be cleared for points as well, with the cryptic message, "You must ascend from darkness," left scrawled on the wall. Opening these will expand the area you can escape to, but in the end, you only have 4 cramped rooms to run through in the whole map. Even once every door is opened and every obstacle is cleared, the closest thing you will find to salvation is the random weapons box, or mystery box, behind the help door. For a price that is usually more worthwhile than the weapons drawn on the wall, it will give you a random weapon from a large pool of weapons, including many weapons more powerful than what you can get off of the walls. This helps you live longer, but eventually the zombies' health will become too high to be dealt with quickly by any weapon. You don't ever find a safe place really. This spot is the only place where no zombie can catch you from behind or the side, but it's a dead end with only enough distance to be safe for so long, and only as long as you have ammo to fire as well. You will never find a solution. The only things that keep you alive as you get further and further in are your skills, awareness, and luck in trying to weave through and run circles around every zombie as they come from all directions. To many zombies fans, this is not really a scary game, and despite zombies being a concept originating from horror, to the many who started in Black Ops 1, zombies may never have been scary to them. But to those of us who started on either of the first 2 maps introduced in World at War, Nacht Der Untoten and Verrückt, zombies was an unsettling experience for the first time. Why do I bring this up? Well, to be honest, this is all Nacht really has going for it in retrospect. It's understandable, considering the developers could never have imagined what zombies would grow into at this point, but the horror aspect of the map is really all it has going for it if you're going to go back and play it having already seen the amazing content that comes after it. I suppose the one thing it has is the unique semi-hidden sniper you can buy from the grandfather clock, but it's crazy overpriced and very underwhelming. Not to mention, when I said this is a sniper, that's just because this is gameplay of the Black Ops 3 remake. If this was actually the original, this would be a scoped car, and while the scope basically makes it a sniper, the car is an extremely weak weapon that is barely better than the Colt, so I don't understand why giving you a scoped one should be worth 5,000 points. Other than that, I suppose the architecture of the map is a little unique. I certainly feel on this map in particular that you're always under attack on all sides, and because at this point there wasn't much in terms of features to fill the rooms with, some rooms just exist to be rooms to run around in, which although that's generally disappointing, it can be a bit novel since it leads to some unconventional map design when the rooms aren't forced to exist for the purpose of showing off a feature exclusive to that area. Really though, I'm just giving this map as much credit as I can to preemptively soften the blow when I say I don't think that Nacht aged that well, to be honest. You can't really blame it because it was never meant to be a huge deal, but with how far zombies has come now, even as someone who started with Nacht and has the most reason to have nostalgia for it, I have to say it shouldn't get a pass for being the first. Nacht was a good map for the time and greatly outdid the low standard set for it, but by today's massively elevated standards, no amount of classicness or nostalgia could be worth returning to it for any more than a game or two as a novelty. Nacht works more as a short experience than a massively engaging and replayable map. But hey, this wouldn't be a shameless copy of the Smith's Plays format if I didn't include a tier list. Yeah, I'm going to be tier ranking all the maps that I cover in this retrospective. And this time I won't stop at Black Ops 4. I'll probably stop when I'm done with Black Ops 4. I don't think I'll be doing Cold War onwards, but anyway. That being said though, I do think that I should talk about how I'm actually ranking these maps just a little bit before I actually tell you the ranking that I gave Nacht Der Untoten. You see, you often see with people with tier lists, people have wildly different ideas of what different tiers should represent. I mean, we all know the idea is that S is supposed to be the best and F is supposed to be the worst, but you often see people pile loads of things in S, when really I feel like S should always be reserved for the absolute best of the best. I mean, I understand it's tempting to put everything in S, but I feel like then you don't really give an accurate representation of your opinion. But I'm making it like this. There is an S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, E tier, and F tier. We're going through the whole alphabet here. But as well as that, I do like to be very particular. That means that within each tier, the maps are ordered from best on the left to worst on the right within that tier. And as well as that, for tiers A, B, C, and D, since they all have quite a few maps in them, to be even more specific, they both have their own A+, A-, B+, B-, C+, C-, and D+, D- tiers. They're still basically D or C tier or whatever, but obviously I'm saying they're the upper and lower parts of those tiers. And as I alluded to, I am not going to be stuffing everything into S and F tier to be hyperbolic. There are only 2 maps in S tier and 2 maps in F tier. I'll actually tell you in case you want to have a little bit of a guess at what they might be. And on that note as well, I would only put maps in F tier that I consider an absolute complete failure. So that is why there is only 2. There are more maps than that I really don't like, but most of those get in either low D or E. They only go in F if they literally feel like they don't please anyone and don't exist for any reason to be like a good map that people enjoy playing. Well, actually, there is a third one in F tier technically, because this tier list does not include Farm, Bus Depot, and Town. If you were curious about rankings on those, I'll get them out of the way now since there's not much to say. Bus Depot, F tier. I don't really see the reason why you'd want to play a map with no perks and nothing but the box, especially Bus Depot. Farm, E tier. I mean, it's not bad, but why do you want to play it? And it's not great either. And Town, D tier. I know people really like it sometimes. I do at least appreciate that it's a small map that has pack-a-punch perks and weapons and everything you can need in one space. But I don't actually find the layout of the map very fun to play in, and I find the lava kind of annoying. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Town. I just give it a D. So where is Nacht Der Untoten going to go then? I give Nacht Der Untoten a D- on this list. So it's good enough to not be considered awful, but again, I just simply don't understand why you would want to come back to it like for more than just 1 or 2 plays. I know that some people are going to argue, shouldn't you give it more credit for being the first map? And this is a bit of a weird one, because I am actually going to give maps extra credit on this kind of tier list for how much they innovated. So even if a map was introduced really early on, if it added a lot of extremely important things to the formula, then I will give it a bit of a boost than from where it would be normally. And that means that there are some maps that are from very early on that are in the high A tier kind of section. But that also feels like it shouldn't apply so much to Nacht Der Untoten, because where do you draw the line? Because the innovation that Nacht Der Untoten brought was literally inventing zombies. Before there was nothing. So do I just give Nacht Der Untoten an unquestionable S tier above everything because it literally added everything that made zombies? That just seems irrational. It's very hard to evaluate how much credit I should give for just starting the series when I'm supposed to be giving it points for innovation. I feel like I can't really give it that much because, again, it didn't really add much, but it did kind of start the whole thing in the first place. But I feel like I just can't give points for that. And again, I'm not saying that, oh my god, the developers did a terrible job with Nacht Der Untoten. I think I've made that clear at this point, hopefully. I just feel like, why would you go back to it now, other than to be like, oh cool, this is the first zombies map. Alright, I'm done on it now. Well, actually, there is one other thing that Nacht Der Untoten added to the series, which actually maybe I could bump it up just to D just for this little addition, because honestly the only reason I didn't mention it until now is I genuinely forgot that this is kind of a Nacht Der Untoten thing, because it's in every zombies map now. The RAYGUN. This little toy gun is not a joke. It is actually the best weapon on the map, and it's kind of weird saying that now because later in zombies we saw weapons get better and better to the point where the RAYGUN actually started to get kind of bad. But back in Nacht Der Untoten, the RAYGUN was the best thing you could get. A gun that actually shot alien sci-fi bullets that dealt massive, massive damage compared to the other weapons available, but with a very, very concerning downside to prevent it from being overpowered. That being the splash damage from the impact could hurt you too, so if you tried to shoot a zombie that was too close to you, you would hurt yourself, which not only could kill yourself, but also, even if it didn't kill you, could prevent health regeneration, which might indirectly lead to you dying. Especially with the 2-hit down system, this was a very difficult downside to overcome, but at the same time, it was a very clever downside to add, because the RAYGUN was still worthwhile using, considering no other gun available on the original Nacht had anywhere near that amount of firepower. You would be forced to use it in the later rounds to be able to survive, and that meant that essentially, once you got to the later rounds, it wasn't only too dangerous to get close to zombies because you wouldn't be able to just shoot them and blast them away because of their high health, but on top of that, even if you tried to now, it would lead to you killing yourself, because obviously you probably get hit once by the zombie and then hit yourself again with the ray gun, and that's 2 hits. You're dead. So considering this is a very well designed staple of the zombie series that is very well made, very fun to use, and certainly had a much more significant impact back when it was all as it was intended to be, I do think I can give a few extra points for Nacht introducing the ray gun. Yeah, I'll nudge you up to D.
That's Poggers.
Oh, that's Poggers!
What the dog doing? What the dog doing?
What the dog doing?